I'm glad that you recognize that we do have boots on the ground already in Iraq. The president's put a cap at 3,000. That's an arbitrary cap. There's no military reason for it. But when some folks say that we shouldn't put boots on the ground right now, I think it demeans the service of those who are in Iraq. But I wish the president would lift the cap and listen to the best judgment of his military commanders. We could use things like more special operations forces, forward air controllers, intelligence, and logistics experts to help fill some of the gaps in Iraqi capabilities and try to stop this war between the Islamic State and the Iraqi population and the government of Iraq from descending into outright sectarian war of the kind I saw in Iraq in 2006.
The U.S. had, when you were there, 100,000, 150,000 U.S. troops. How many troops do you think the U.S. needs now?
Well, we wouldn't be looking at something like that. The president, I would say, poses a false choice with Iraq, just like he does with Iran, as we've discussed. The choice is not between nothing and 150,000 heavy mechanized troops. I think on the order of a few thousand more. That's really a question, though, for our commanders to provide their best military judgment to the president to make a decision about the number and the types of troops we need. But there's no doubt that we need some of those specialized assets, whether they're special operations forces or intelligence experts, to help defeat the Islamic State. That's the president's stated goal. He's not providing the resources to achieve it.
Because I'm sure you'll agree, the Iraqi military, whether in Mosul or Ramadi, has been so disappointing. The fact that they now want to get these Iranian-backed Shiite militias to come in and help and try to recapture or at least contain ISIS in Ramadi, what does that say to you?
Well, there's been a lot of disappointments with the Iraqi army, no doubt about that. Some units have performed well, especially their special operations units, but a lot of their units have not. I think it's a very bad idea what the president and his administration is saying they support now, bringing in Iranian-backed Shiite militias into the Sunni-dominated Anbar province for two reasons. One, I think there's no doubt that it will stoke more sectarian conflict, and two, these militias are paper tigers. They have proven themselves incapable, for instance, of taking Tikrit. I don't think they're going to succeed, and they're going to stoke sectarian violence. So I think that's a bad idea. We need to be relying on more American advisors, more trainers, people who are assisting. We need to be working with the Sunni tribal leaders and tribes. Remember, these are the exact same people who turned in our direction in 2006, 7, and 8. We know who they are. We know who these tribes are. A lot of the Army officers and Marine officers who were there on the ground with them are still on active duty today.
They don't trust the Iraqi military, which is largely Shia, right?
Regrettably, at this point, yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of talk over the last 2 weeks about what we would have done in 2003, knowing what we know now. I think what's even more tragic is Barack Obama, knowing what he knew then in 2011, made the decision to withdraw all of our troops. Those troops were a critical component to training the Iraqi army, to maintaining its pluralistic nature, and preventing sectarian warfare from breaking out.
But you remember when